Hey everyone, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2023 Chrysler Pacifica, we're going to be showing you how to install the etrailer.com trailer hitch receiver. Before we do that though, let's take a minute, check it out, and make sure it's going to work for you. When it comes to these Pacificas, they're really capable vans. People use them to do a lot of different things. Whether you're trying to pull a trailer around or use an accessory or a little bit of both, you're going to want a hitch that is capable and up to the task. And with the setup like this one here, it's definitely going to get the job done. There are several hitches available for the Pacifica, and with the eTrailer one, I feel like it's the best general purpose all-around hitch. I think it looks good with that matte black finish, and it kind of sits towards the front a little bit and up tight against the bottom. Definitely does a good job of kind of blending in. Don't look out of place by any means. And for example, there's a draw tight hitch available. It looks pretty good too. That one has a little bit higher capacities, but I feel like that one's more set up for towing. So if you plan on primarily using your van for that, maybe some extra heavy trailers or whatever the case may be, that might be worth looking into. And then if you're someone as well that don't want to see a hitch back here at all, but still want to be able to use accessories and whatnot, there's a hidden hitch available where the main body of the hitch will be up kind of behind the bumper there, and there will be a receiver tube that's detachable. So you can pop that out when you're not using it, put it back in place when you are ready to use it, and keep everything looking completely factory back here. With this hitch, it is going to work with vehicles that are non-hybrids like ours today, as well as the hybrid van. So regardless of what you got, this will work, and that's not the case with all of the hitches. So if you're checking out a different one, make sure to use our drop-down menu and make sure you punch in if you have a hybrid or not. Like I said, this will work with either. It does have the 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, which is a good thing. Super common size. A lot of stuff will work with it. It is going to use the standard 5/8 pin and clip. One doesn't come with the hitch. If you need one, not a big deal. You can grab it right here. eTrailer, or a lot of times, see if you end up buying a new accessory, they'll come with one. So something to look out for. The safety chain openings are easy to get to. They're a little on the small side, but they should be large enough to allow you to use pretty much any size hook that your trailer might have on it. As far as the weight capacities go, it's going to have some pretty good numbers. It'll have a 400-pound maximum gross tongue weight rating, which is the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. So that's good for those 1 to 3, maybe even 4 bike racks, just kind of depending on how much everything weighs, to give you an example there. And as far as maximum gross trailer weight rating, that's going to be 4,000 pounds. That's the amount of weight pulling on the hitch. So weight of your trailer plus anything you might have in or on it. This can be used with the weight distribution system as well, which is a separate component. And what happens when you use that, it's going to keep your trailer and your Pacifica level whenever you're towing it down the road. So pretty popular on campers and enclosed trailers, things like that. And if you use a system, the capacities will go up a little bit. Tongue weight gets increased to 500 pounds and trailer weight gets increased to 5,000 pounds. Now, with all that in mind, I do always like to recommend, never a bad idea just to grab your Chrysler's owner's manual. That way you can check in there and make sure that your vehicle can handle that much weight safely. We'll grab a couple measurements now, and these will help you figure out what type of accessories will work best. We go from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening. That's going to set at about 13 inches. So if you plan on pulling a trailer, you're going to need to get a ball mount that has a rise in the shank. If you go from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of the rear bumper, that's going to be about 5 inches, which isn't too bad, so you shouldn't really run into a lot of issues here, but if needed, you can use that to figure out exactly if any of those folding style accessories you might have can be stored upright without hitting the back of your Pacifica. When it comes down to it, great all-around hitch. I think it looks good and it's going to be capable, so if it were me and I was planning on doing just general purpose stuff, this would be the one that I would go with. As far as the installation goes, it's really not too bad. It's a little time consuming. You have to remove this underbody panel. There's a bunch of fasteners holding that up. And on the passenger side, it's a little tight to work with just because your exhaust is right there. But you know, it's something you only have to do one time, and if you stay focused, really shouldn't give you too many issues. But with that said, let me go ahead and get started on it now. To begin our installation, we're going to be underneath the back of our Pacifica, and what we can do first is get this underbody panel removed. So there's several fasteners hold it in place. Along the whole edge of it here, we're going to have a handful of 8mm head screws, just like this one here. So we'll just kind of work our way across, kind of push up on it. You can tell which ones are actually holding the panel on. Just continue our way around and get them removed. Now if you move just behind your driver's back tire, there's going to be 3 more 8mm head screws as well. So those will all need to get removed. Change out to a 10mm size socket now, and we're going to have several of them kind of just scattered along here. Take those 2 out, and then kind of push this down. There's 2 more above it. And we'll just work our way around here. Going to be a few of these types of fasteners. You can just take a big screwdriver, and these just loosen up. They'll actually stay attached to the panel. They're kind of just run up on some studs. So you really don't want to put upward pressure while you're loosening these. In fact, you can kind of loosen and pull down. So we'll kind of go around. And once that final one is removed, looks like there might only be 2 of them. Once that final one's removed, we can take our panel and drop it down and set it off to the side for now. Since we are going to have to lower our exhaust some, we're going to want a way to support it while we do that. So I'm just taking a strap. We'll run it from side to side, and we'll be able to control how fast and how far we let it come down. We have 2 isolator hangers holding the exhaust up. So one here by the tailpipe, and spray it down with soapy water. Helps lubricate it, and then you can kind of take the exhaust and work it around too. That seems to help kind of loosen everything up. And from there you can take a big pry bar or screwdriver and work one end of the hanger off there. Next one's right here in the middle, and we'll do the same thing to get it removed. And once you got them off like that, you can loosen up the strap and let that exhaust come down a little bit. We're able to get access to this fastener here holding our heat shield up. So I got a 10mm socket. Pull that one off. And if you move towards the front of our vehicle, we'll have one more here. Pull that off, and then we should be able to grab our heat shield and pull it down and set it off to the side for now. We'll take our heat shield and get it trimmed out. So there's a diagram and the instructions you can follow, and I just marked that out. And with these, I'm just going to use a pair of snips to get it cut out. When you're doing this, be careful. You know, take your time. This type of metal here can get really sharp when you're cutting this, so just keep that in mind. That all trimmed out, we can take it and put it back into position. And for now, we're going to take the plastic nut, and on this stud, just over here on the driver's side frame rail, there's going to be a 10mm nut, and we'll remove that. Now, if you happen to have wires going to this, they're just ground wires. When you remove that nut, the hitch actually gives you another nut and a bolt, and you can relocate them to either one of these holes here along this edge to reground them. I do suggest, though, if you do that, whatever attachment point you put them on there, maybe take a file or some sandpaper, kind of knock that paint off and get bare metal. That way the ground will make a good contact. But in our case, in a lot of cases, you're not going to have to worry about doing that because no wires will be present. Over on the driver's side, we're going to have 2 attachment points. So we'll be using this hole in our frame as well as this one. And you can take the coiled end of your pull wire, and honestly it kind of helps if you put a radius in it, you know, just a long bend in that wire, because you take the coiled end, feed it through that hole, and we're trying to get it to drop out of this larger one here. And sometimes you get lucky and it comes right out. Other times not so much. You'll just have to reach up there and kind of find it. But what you want to do from here is take a carriage bolt, put a spacer block on it, and we'll thread that onto the fish wire. And then you can kind of feed the spacer block in, the carriage bolt in, and pull it down like that. And then for this attachment point, we're going to use the same hardware, but we're going to do something a little bit different. This is called a reverse fish wire. So you got your block and your bolt there. Just thread that right on to the fish wire. Feed the bolt in first, and then the spacer block. Drop it back down. Over here on the passenger side, it's going to be essentially set up the same way with the same hardware combination and everything, but we're going to have one more attachment point. So I'll pull this one through and we'll take a better look here. Definitely tighter with the muffler being here, but that's okay. Like I said, we'll have one more attachment point. So I got 2 of them done. I got this one and this one in there. And then this one will be the third. So I'll reverse fish wire that one into place. So at this point, you can get our hitch into position. If you got someone that can give you a hand with this, definitely makes it easier. But you're going to take your pull wires and run them through the appropriate holes in the hitch. So on the driver's side, you got a few to choose from. And I marked them which ones. You're going to use that one. And that one there. And once you have everything through, I'm going to raise the hitch over the exhaust on the passenger side. I was able to get that pushed up, and actually all I did, I just came in and with a mallet and just kind of hit the hitch up, and it pushed it around the stud there. So just wasn't using enough force to get it in place, but once we have the bolts drop through, you can remove the pull wire and then take a flange nut and get it started hand tight. So all the attachment points are going to use the same flange nut, and if you're having a hard time getting the nut started because the bolt wants to push up, you can always just apply a little side pressure to the bolt with your finger, screwdriver, whatever you got. And once they're all in place and hand tight, you can come back with a 19 or even a 3/4 inch socket and snug everything down. You want to make sure and come back now with a torque wrench and tighten down all of the hardware to the amount specified in your instructions. Trim our underbody panel out now, that way we can reinstall it, and it's really just a sliver along this edge here. That way it'll kind of slide around the side plate of our hitch, So using the instructions as a reference, and you can kind of just hold this up on the bottom of the van and eyeball it as well. Use both bits of that information. We can get this cut out, and this is almost like a super thick, tough cardboard, I guess you could say. So regular pair of snips usually cuts right through it. Panel cut out, this is what we're looking for when we go to reinstall it. Tuck it up and over the hitch there, and that cut was just so it could clear all this. It looks like we're in pretty good shape, and so we'll just come back through and re-secure this the opposite way that we removed it. We got our panel back in place, and something I thought that would be worth mentioning, if you're going to be doing trailer wiring after this, probably not a bad idea just to leave the panel off or just on very loose for now, because you'll probably have to lower it to run trailer wiring and stuff down here anyway. So just thinking ahead if that's your case. And I got the one exhaust hanger back in place. This one will work the same way. You just re-lubricate them, and with these, you can just push them back in place by hand. Once it's supporting itself, we'll get rid of our strap here. And with that done, that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the etrailer.com trailer hitch receiver on our 2023 Chrysler Pacifica.